Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Fantastic Bob here, back at you guys with another weekly upload. I've been pretty consistent with these of late. It's been about 4 years since the last one, so yeah, and today I'm playing Sanctum. So, Sanctum is a first-person shooter tower defense game. It's one of my favorite games, Sanctum 1 and 2 specifically. I think the first video on my channel was some Sanctum 2 gameplay. I tried to make a video, but I kept dying, so I just cut it into like a little clip. But yeah, I'm back. I'm gonna try to be uploading videos more often from now, kind of after my 4 to 5 year hiatus. A lot is going on, so let's just get right into it. So there's a few different levels I can select here, but I had one in particular. I think it's facility. Yeah, okay. So this is one of my favorite levels, so I thought it'd be good level to play, and I'm gonna play on the hardest difficulty, of course. And I thought this would be a good game just for my kind of let's play back, just because it's a game I'm familiar with and it's kind of easy for me to go through and talk at the same time, because like I know this game almost inside and out. Well, I switched between this and Sanctum 2, so it's like I should remember most of the stuff from this game though, because I played it fairly recently. But in terms of my weapons, I'm gonna go. So the way this game works is you can select weapons and towers. So basically, it's a tower defense game. So enemies come at you in waves in any standard tower defense game, but during those waves you are also using your weapons to try to stop and shoot the enemies. And it's the thing that I like a lot about it is that the balance between towers and your own weapon damage is very consistent and balanced. So what I mean by that is that you have to both play smart in terms of you're shooting constantly, you're reloading, you're playing well, getting headshots or critical hits, whatever, but you also have to be smart with how you maze and how you place down towers and how you do things. So I'll kind of go over the weapons that my preferred weapons for this game, and I'll go over them briefly because it's a lot easier to show when we actually get into the game. But I'm going to go with the Assault, Sniper, and Freeze. So the Assault is a standard just Gatling gun assault rifle. It's very versatile because like so every weapon has a primary and secondary fire. So the Assault's primary is just a standard machine gun, but the secondary is it shoots a grenade, so it's like a grenade launcher. So it's very good against taking down weak mob AoE crowds. And the second weapon is the Sniper. So this is it's a standard sniper. The secondary fire per se is you just zoom in with a scope. So there's nothing great, but it's very good against tank heavy enemies that have, especially there's certain enemies in this game that you'll see once we get in that have very they have obvious weak spots that you can exploit, and you can do very potent damage to them with a sniper. And the last one is the Freeze. So this is kind of more of a support weapon. So basically when I fire this weapon, the primary fire, it shoots like a globe of ice that it detaches onto an enemy and freezes them, slows them down. Its secondary fire freezes a bunch of enemies in a zone. So it's very good, especially at the last moment. If enemies are getting by, you freeze all of them and you can still do damage to them fine. So it's very useful, and it's nice as well because you don't necessarily have to upgrade a lot in order for it to be useful. There's a few other weapons there, but this is kind of my primary. And for towers, I think this is just the default towers that I used the last time I played this level. So I'm gonna switch these around, and I'll go over each choice, kind of why I like them. So the Hollow Tower is basically, it puts down a see-through box, and when you shoot through it, you do increased damage. So you can set up very good kind of kill areas where you are constantly shooting enemies in that area and doing like, and it's like it's not just like 10, 20%. It can get to like 100, 200% when you upgrade it. It's very, very good and almost like a necessity in this game. I'll probably go with, trying to think. I'll go with a slow field as well. So these towers, you put them on the ground and they slow all the enemies. Pretty self-explanatory. They just, yeah, again, it's useful, especially in certain zones if you want to slow a lot of enemies at once and keep them in that area. I'll probably go with lightning. So this tower, it's kind of like very slow rate of fire, but does a lot of damage and it can bounce. And then I'll probably go with a accelerator. So these are the accelerator. It's an interesting tower because it doesn't do a lot of damage at first, but it builds up. So basically, its starting DPS is very low because of its low rate of fire at first. But the more it shoots, the better its rate of fire is. So basically, it has to charge up. But this is very good against very tanky, slow enemies, and it can just mow through them. So it's like. And you also have to place it in the right area, so kind of on the corner of a maze. And I'll show you, you can see that when we get into the game. But I'll also do a scatter laser. So this is it's a very good general tower. It shoots at random enemies, so it'll just shoot, at whatever enemy. But it has a very high rate of fire, decent damage. It's like you see on the bar there, it says it's low, but it's like fairly decent and a good range. So it's just general good DPS. It's not extraordinary. It's good against very weak enemies that may slip by, but it also is just good damage overall. And I'll probably go with an anti-air as well. So there are flying enemies in this game, and they are a pain to deal with. If you don't have an anti-air tower, like you basically need these on levels with flying enemies. So it's like a necessity, per se. Like it's very good at what it does. Even though it can only hit enemies in the air, it like mows through them. So that's that. And yeah, okay, I think that's good. So I'm going to, I guess I'll just talk over these building phases. I might cut some of them out just because they can get a little boring at times. But let's see what map. So this map, it's interesting because as you'll see, those lines basically there represent the path of the enemies. So they have 3 different entrances that they're going through, and they are all trying to get to this area right here, the core, and I'm trying to stop them. So there's a few different maze designs I could do here. I could kind of have like a killing zone here, back where the core is, but I'm thinking of doing something where I kind of, I block off 2 of these entrances, like this one and this one, and I zone them all through here, and I think that'll probably be the most effective strategy. So I'm gonna set that up real quick. And basically, so I can place down blocks that cost 2 of my, I don't know what the resource, it's just resources. There's no interesting name for this, but I'm gonna place it there, and I'm gonna place another one over here. Okay, so as you can see now that they're all gonna be routed through this main area here, and I can set up like a very good, I might actually do, actually scratch that, I know what I'm gonna do. So instead of having them all, like, right, if like the way it is right now, they'll all go through here, what I'm gonna do is probably make them all come over here, and then I can do some mazing where I have them go through these different areas. I'll set it up and kind of we'll play around with it. The thing I like about this game is there's a lot of different strategies that you can do, and there's a lot of different experimentation in terms of maze designs, how you set up your towers. There's a lot to explore. So I'm just gonna set these up like so. And then these guys are all going to come this way. And I think the best thing for me to do is set up my main kind of tower defenses here, so I don't want enemies to slip by behind me. That's a very important thing you have to take into consideration in this game, because the way it works is once enemies get to the core, that's just it. There's no like attacking, there's no like in the second game, so there's Sanctum 1 and 2, and they're very different games. But in the second game, when enemies get to the core, they attack it, and that's not as big of an issue, especially if you're trying to 100%, because in this game, in order to get 5 stars, you need to have 0 damage or like 100% on your core, whereas in the second game, they can attack it, and you can just, it doesn't matter. As long as you win it on the hardest difficulty with all the feats of strength enabled, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to... Okay, so I think I have a basic maze design set up. So I'll just show you what I got right here. So basically, I'm routing these enemies, and there may have been a cut there just because, like, I spent, like, I don't know, five or so minutes setting this up, and I wasn't talking at all just because I was trying to think. But basically, I have, so all the enemies will all be routed here, and then they'll go down through here, be routed back around, and I'm gonna set up some towers in this main area, and then they're going to go all the way around here, down here, back here, and you'll notice that it's not complete right now. That's because I don't have the resources to complete it. That's one of the annoying things about this game, is like you can't you kind of have to plan, because you can't set up everything in the first round, which can be a little annoying. But I'm going to place my last 3 towers here, and I'll explain what these ones are. So I'm going to place 3 hollow towers here. So I mentioned in the menu, these basically, when I shoot through them, I'm going to do more damage to enemies. So these are very, very useful. So right now, each time I shoot through this is going to do 27% more damage, and these do stack. So you see, if I have 3 set up now, if an enemy is coming down that corridor and I shoot them, I'm going to do 27 times 3 damage. So I'm going to do a lot more damage, and then when I upgrade this, and it's fairly cheap to upgrade, I'm going to do like 55%, 100%, and that's going to stack through every single one that I do. So it's very, very useful in this game, especially AoE explosives. Those will all also get that increase. So I think I'm good to start this first wave here. So the first wave is, like, if you see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen there, it'll say next wave and then the enemy type. So these enemies, these are walkers. They are just standard fodder, common enemy. They come in packs. They're not very strong, but there's a lot of them. So you typically with these guys, you want to use AoE, explosive weapons. The Gatling could be pretty good at them. And yeah, I think I'm gonna start, and I'll try to talk while doing this as well. So one of the things you have to do in this game is constantly be switching weapons, because while one weapon is reloading, I can be using another weapon. So you don't really want... I missed that. I messed up there. While one weapon is reloading, I can be using another weapon. So you kind of want to be constantly switching and paying attention to, okay, I'm kind of not doing the best here because I'm trying to focus. But you'll see, like, I'm constantly switching these. And so as I mentioned, that shot right there, that little grenade that I was throwing, that was the secondary fire on this Gatling gun here. And there's one little trick you can do with this. You might notice I've been doing it already, but each time you use it, so weapons, they don't have ammo in this game. They have just like a charge rate per se. So like when I use my secondary fire, that uses 50% of the charge rate. But what I can do is if I want to use, say, So if I use it twice, it's going to get to 100%, and my weapon's going to go on reload. But if I use it once, wait slightly, and just buffer it, use it again, what I can do is I can do 3 of that secondary fire, which is going to increase the DPS a lot. So that's one little trick in this game that you're able to do, and it's like very useful. I'm just going to put a televator here. So these are, I should have explained this, but these are basically tower blocks, which I can, like as you notice, they raise up for me, and I can also teleport to them when I press tab or to go to the mini map. So I think I'm gonna place some actual towers down now. So, okay, so I'm gonna place a few more blocks and then some towers. So the next enemy that is coming, those are called runners. So these guys are very annoying because basically, like if you look at my maze right now, my maze is very straight. But runners, they accelerate if they are not turning, if that makes sense. So right now with my maze, they are gonna blaze through it. So in the second area here, and I want to do it in the first area, but I didn't really have the opportunity to do so. I actually don't need this. I don't know why I built this here. But I'm going to make some more mazes that are have a lot more turns and twists just to deal with these guys, because if you don't build your maze in a certain way, they can just wreak havoc. Okay, so here's what I got from my maze so far. So as I mentioned previously, those runners, they will wreck shop on you if you don't have a lot of turns in your maze. So you can see what I did is I put lots of turns in this area and this area here. So these long pathways here are going to be, it's going to cause those runners to get through them like just in a breeze. But with these turns, they should now, when they get to that stage, they're going to be very slow, and I can just take them down super easy. So I'm just going to build a televator here. So I just have lots of areas to teleport to. And I'm going to put down my first tower. I'm going to put down a scatter laser. So as I mentioned, these towers, they have a very fast rate of fire, do fairly good damage and pretty good range. They're just a very good all-around tower against like all types of enemies. Well, they're not very good against certain heavy enemies that have a lot of armor. They're like useless against, but then other heavy enemies that don't have a lot of armor, they are fairly decent against. So I'm gonna start this wave, and you'll see these. You'll see how fast these guys get already, but they are fairly weak and they come in large groups. So the weak spot is right at the front. You can see that I'm aiming for that little glowing area, but like for the time being, I can take him down with one sniper shot. I'm going to start using these hollows just because they're here now. Fire a shot at that. And I'm just gonna start shooting these secondary fires because they'll clump up. Like one of the strats you can do here with that freeze, if you notice that I kind of staggered them, so now they're a little more clumped up, and I can hit them more with my AoE secondary fire from my assault rifle. Okay. Okay, so the next two enemies we see here are spore pods and tanks. So spore pods are flying enemies that they're fairly weak, but there's like a ton of them. And for them, I'm gonna put down some anti-air towers right off the bat, just because, like, they're just like a pain to deal with. So I think I'm gonna put one. I'm gonna put one on each side, and I hope this will cover I'm gonna put one there. And like here. Okay. And I'm also going to upgrade my sniper. I need 50 for it. So I'm just gonna sell something real quick. What can I sell? Trying to see if there's any extra towers I can sell here. Huh. I thought for sure there was something I could sell, but I'll probably do this televator because it's not 100% necessary. Okay, so the reason I upgraded my sniper there is because those tanks are very weak against sniper fire, and I need a high damaging weapon to deal with them, basically. So, and now that I've kind of talked a little bit about the game, maybe I'll shift more into talking about there's a few things I wanted to talk about this Let's Play, specifically like the future of my channel and what sort of videos I want to be uploading. So I want to keep uploading Let's Plays. I had a few different ideas, however, for some different types of videos I can do. Specifically, I wanted to maybe do a series where I talk about gaming in general, and I want to talk about games that I think are, that I like, why I like them, and maybe I would consider a little underrated per se. This was specifically one of the games I want to talk about, because this is like, I absolutely love this game, and I think the tower defense genre is probably one of the most overlooked genres out there. Like, there's not a lot of games for it, and like when I think of a tower defense game, I think of like a Flash game. I don't think of like a professionally made full-fledged game. There's a few examples out there, specifically games I can think of off the top of my head, like well, because tower defense, it's a difficult, or it's not difficult, it's a weird genre, because there's like just pure tower defense games where it's like a top-down, you place towers, and then you, during the waves, you're just like doing nothing, you're just watching your towers. But the games I like more of is a game like this, or a game, there's a series called Orcs Must Die. I did a Let's Play on it previously, I think with Jared. But basically, you're placing towers, you're doing stuff, but you're also worrying about, okay, during the waves, I'm actually doing something, like I'm fighting, so I'm either in a third-person view, a first-person view, I'm doing something, and I think those games make it very interesting, and those types of games are very fun. But to get back onto the video series I wanted to not just focus on tower defense games per se, I wanted to also look at games that I grew up with, that I liked a lot, that I think maybe deserved more recognition, or games that just games I enjoy, basically. Like, I was thinking of doing like maybe a top 10 series of like my top 10 favorite games. I could talk about why I think they're good, what makes them special. But the thing is, a lot of those games I wanted to do as well were on older consoles, and I would need a way to record it, unless I was using an emulator. That was one of the ideas I had for a video series, and that was kind of my only idea. I would maybe, like, there's a few different games I have in mind for Let's Plays, and if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to leave comments below, and I'd be happy to look into what sort of games would work well with this format, and what I can do to kind of, like, what games would fit me, my play style, and also my commentary style. So just to get back to the game briefly, the next two enemies are walkers, which you saw before, and another enemies, which I can't remember the name of. I know what they do. Runners. So these are very weak, like they die in like one hit, but there's like 100 of them. So you have to use certain towers, AoE weapons to deal with them. So I'm gonna upgrade my assault rifle here, just so I have more, that secondary fire is doing more damage. as well as I'm going to place probably another scatter. I'm probably gonna place that. I'll place it here so it gets. I kind of want to place it in that central area. No, I'll place one here. And I'm also gonna put another one. No, I'll save that. Yeah, I'll just place another one here. And I think I'm gonna upgrade this one hollow. So now it's gonna do 55% more damage. And I'm going to place a few more blocks here, just so if enemies get through, they're a little more delayed. And I'm missing one resource to complete that. That's kind of tilting, but let's just start this. So as I was mentioning before, I don't know. I'd like to do different types of videos for my channel, other than purely just Let's Plays, but I would really have to look into what people would want and what I would enjoy making. And yeah, I think a little variety would be good, but I'm not really too sure about what that is at the current moment. But I think I'll explore some different options. And again, I'm not playing, like, if I was playing this while not trying to talk, I could probably be doing this a lot more optimally, but it's just difficult to focus on. And also because, I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've done a video, and it's hard sometimes to play and talk and keep a consistent train of thought at the same time. So, but I also want to look more into doing some console-based, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but I want to do more console-based gameplay and videos, so I can, because I think there's a lot of story-driven games that I think would work well, but I would need to pick up a capture card for that. Which is fine. It's just it'd take a little bit of time to set up and make sure everything is working. Okay, so I got all those guys. And now the next two. So that new enemy type in the bottom right, the one on the right there, those are hovers. So these guys are, you can only hit them from the back. So what that means is that a lot of towers are going to be, like, these scatters are going to do nothing against them, because unless it's hitting them in the back, but again, these are high rate of fire towers, they're just firing randomly, so like they're not consistently going to be hitting them in the back. And you'll see what I mean by that once these enemies spawn. I'm going to place for now a gat and an accelerator right here, because this is a very good spot for one. That's not 100% useful in this wave, but I'm just, it's good to have. And I'll probably do a lightning tower here somewhere. Here. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a fine area for them. I'm just gonna upgrade some of this stuff briefly. I'm gonna upgrade that and complete this maze finally. Okay. So let's just get right into this. And these hovers can be a pain because, as I mentioned earlier, like, you have to fight them in a very specific way, and your towers will not always hit them, and that can be troubling sometimes. But Sniper is really good against them, so yeah, and then these guys are just like, whatever. Okay, I'm completely missing there. I maybe should have upgraded one of my weapons for this. We'll see, though. Okay, come on. Okay, that guy's dealt with. And I'm just gonna And you'll notice why I place these at a corner is because I can get a lot more, like when they turn around like this as well, I can actually hit them. I'm gonna just deal with all these guys now. Where are they? I thought there was gonna be some around the corner. They're there. And they're usually, these guys usually aren't a big deal. You just have to like watch out for them and make sure none slip through. Because I want to get this 100% core. That's okay. I forgot I sold my thing over there. So let's. Okay, that's kind of tilting. I'll see him here and deal with these guys for now. Okay, let's just take out these two final enemies. Two final those weak dudes, and deal with these last few enemies, which should not be an issue. You'll notice I placed that lighting tower there, and it's like, okay, this is really annoying again. Try sniping over the. I really wish my televator was there. But these guys are all low health. They're not an issue. One annoying thing is you'll notice there's not, I can't reload. So sometimes it's actually better to just shoot, miss, in order for your weapon to be reloaded. It's really dumb, but it's just like the way it is. I'm going to place a anti-air. I'm going to do. Let's do this one in the middle, and I'm gonna place my televator over there because, like, I really need one. I wish I had one last wave. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to, for this wave, as you'll notice, it's two flying enemies. There's spore pods we saw earlier. There's another type of flying enemies. These guys, they're very fast, and they can actually dodge anti-air towers pretty effectively. But scatter lasers hit them fairly well, so I'm just gonna place down a few scatter lasers, upgrade them, and I'll place down. I will probably. Is that an anti-air? Yeah, I'm just gonna upgrade this. Okay, so those scatter lasers should be able to deal with these, what do they call? Gliders. Like, I can shoot them as well and take them out fairly easily, but they're very fast and they can get through your towers just like that, and it's like, it's a pain to deal with. Like, you'll see how fast these guys are compared to like the slow moving spore pods. But as you can see, like, my scatter laser just, like, basically just one-shots them. Because they have, like, no health. They don't have a lot of health. I just want to make sure it can't get that through. And flying enemies, for the most part in this game, they're not exceptionally difficult to deal with, but you have to know how to fight them, like setting up what towers to set up, because like more often than not your towers are going to be the main DPS to them and not your standard shooting, because they're hard to hit. Well, those guys, at least the spore pods, it's like, unless you're using the Rex, which is a weapon I'm not using, they're hard to do a lot of damage to with your main weapons. Okay, so for this wave, I think... Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade probably my sniper for the tanks there. And I kind of want to just upgrade this as well. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna upgrade. So I just upgraded my two weapons there, because the tanks I'm primarily gonna be dealing with my sniper. And then the walkers, my towers will do some damage to them, but I'm going to be doing a lot as well with my with the secondary fire on my machine gun. right off the bat get this increased damage on these dudes. I'm gonna stagger some of these enemies, and then now that they're all pumped up, I can hit them with it. Oh, I messed that up. Okay. Okay, so this wave isn't too bad so far. Sorry, I was just focusing there. But, this wave hasn't been too bad. That should be the last two enemies there. Okay. And with that checkpoint, I've been recording for almost 55 minutes, so I think I'm gonna cut it off there. The video's probably gonna be a lot shorter, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna try to get more videos out. I don't know if this will be the first video I release from my hiatus per se. I might do another video that I'm working on as well for another game. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. So peace out.